So Apoorva, a huge congratulations to you on Sirf Ek Bandaa Kaafi Hai success on ZEE5 Global. I mean, what a film it was. I mean, I really, honestly, I think it's one of the best films we've seen this year. So a huge congratulations and thank you for
Thank,
joining.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anuj.
So, Apoorva, I must say, out of all the other films and other contents that you've made and created, I think this has to be the most intense and serious one.
Yes,
Tell me, what contributed towards this whole 360 turn, I think, in terms of filmmaking?
I think nothing as a very passionate filmmaker, I have huge passion for this medium, and I think everybody at a certain point of time needs something different. I think that has what has happened with me because before this, I used to do a lot of relatable shows, very slice of life dramas or human emotion dramas. But when Banda arrived, what clicked with me was not that it wasn't a technical choice that no, because this is a very intense film I have to do it, but because it's a very important film,
Right.
because it deals with an issue of minor safety. A lot of people are not aware about the rights that minors have, or not a lot of people are not aware what POCSO is in India. So
Mhm.
what stuck with me in the story was the story that it was telling. And what I believe is that if you have really faith in God, and if you really come out for truth, you will be troubled, you will be bogged down by a lot of people, but eventually you will find your one banda who will fight with you and take you to the final justice day. And I think that stuck with me, and that is why I chose this film. Intense, non-intense is something, it is part of treatment. This
Sure.
film could have been told in so many ways. I chose to tell it this way.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what I wanted to tell you as well is that, it's a very sensitive portrayal and a very असल में जो हम woke कहते हैं ना आजकल की जिंदगी में ये सच में actually एक woke film है, not in a pseudo sense but in an actual sense, because see, one has to maintain sensitivity because of the nature of the crime you are
Ji.
revolving around,
Yeah.
like you said, the concept of it, but then also there is the whole aspect of, people or driving hate towards a particular religion because of the perpetrator, and obviously how people perhaps would have, maybe if it was made, they would have perhaps maybe done it in a very insensitive way, but you maintain sensitivity on both those aspects. तो वो कितना ख्याल रखना पड़ा आपको as a filmmaker when dealing with these two very massive themes and concepts?
I think we as filmmakers have to be conscious about it, and there's a very great reason for it. Because if if you don't deliver your film in a correct way, the messaging gets diluted. It gets diluted, and I always wanted that my message should reach audience in a correct way, in a way that I want to deliver. And that is why it was extremely important that I balance entertainment, which obviously the thrilling treatment that you see in a film, with sensitivity. Because eventually, if people don't like the film, they are not going to resonate with the message that I want to tell with my film. So it
Mm.
took us 1.5 years to finally write the screenplay. It had 18 drafts of writing the screenplay with Manoj Bajpayee sir, Suparn Varma, Vinod, Bhanushali. We all sat for so many meetings that I think research was the toughest part. And second most important part of this film was how to present it in a way that audience does not feel bored. Because it had a lot of technical jargons, it had a lot of technical courtroom scenes, because it was a courtroom drama, and India has never seen a courtroom drama with so many technical scenes. So
Mm.
present it in a way that it feels natural, it feels easy, and yet engaging was the toughest task. And I feel that it is team's hard work that all of us see here. And responsibility, yes, every person has a responsibility. But what's more important is that, see, uh, a minor child has been a minor child was violated,
Yep.
and if she didn't fear or she didn't have reservations in coming out to the world and saying that I was violated, she didn't fear. How can we as filmmakers fear? We're just making a film. She had lived a journey. So I think most of our strength came from that minor child. One. Secondly, I am a highly spiritual person. Manoj Bajpayee sir is extremely spiritual. So we know I have my guru. Manoj sir has his own guru. I cannot name them because we are not supposed to name our gurus. Uh, we know what value system we were brought up in, and one one fish cannot ruin the whole pond. And I want to get associated with, we are a country who had Vivekanand, Swami Vivekanand, who had Ramakrishna Paramans Yoganand. You name them, we have all the great gurus, and I want to get associated with them. So I think once you decide that, you cannot break the trust of so many people, and you cannot play with so many people's faith, then it becomes easier for you to decide that, yes, I am going to say some things in this film and say it in a manner that I believe in. And the best part is that there are so many beautiful stories in our religion, and one of those stories we picked up in the final monologue, which dealt with the greatness of our religion. See, and that's what happened. You don't have to bog down anybody. No faith, no people, no caste and creed. You just have to bring out great stories from our religion and present it to the audience, and they will know that what we mean.
मेरे तो रोंगटे खड़े हो गए थे. You know what, Apurva? Let's talk about that scene because I think for me, I think जो आपने समा बांधा ना उस scene में, I think that pretty much hits the nail on the head in terms of everything that you were talking about throughout the film. When you were shooting for that scene, because I think for me this is Manoj Bajpayee's best performance till date, hands down. Um, but when you were shooting for that, I mean, जो हम देख रहे हैं वो एक finished product है, पर जब उस scene को आप create कर रहे थे, क्या briefing आपने दी मनोज सर को? What was the situation like on set at that point?
Actually, देखिए वो सीन ना बड़े बड़े बहुत टाइम से हम लोग काम कर रहे थे. मैं और दीपक किंगरानी, who is the writer of the film, we had written that scene. And then we presented to Suparn and Manoj Bajpayee sir. And then we sat for another 3 months with all of them. And most of the times we were rewriting it. Most of the time we were changing that monologue. But we had invested 3 months in that just one particular scene. And then when we were prepared, because that film deals with the ethos of the film, that feels, because ultimately, if that scene is not there, the film does not have value. Correct. So we spent a lot of time writing that scene. And once that scene was written, I told Manoj sir, and I requested him that, sir, there is only one request. The moment you hesitate in any one of the lines while shooting, you have to take it from the top. Because I'll tell you why. Because it has 3 layers. That scene has 3 layers. Once when he gets up to deliver his final monologue, he's speaking like a lawyer. Secondly, he takes a form of kathavachak when he narrates that story. And third is when he vents it out, when he says ye Ravan hai Ravan, which also essentially is his venting out of frustration of the 5 years of struggles that he has gone through and that child has gone through. So it has 3 layers to it, and we discussed these layers. And then Manoj sir went on. He has read that, he has practiced that around 150 times. And trust me when I say this, that before before one day of the shoot, he was calling all of us. He even called up his own wife and practiced that monologue. He came to my house. He had practiced that monologue in front of my wife also. So he has done that, and I think what we see on screen is his hard work and his genius.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Even the way he says, "Ye aadmi Ravan hai Ravan." Oh God, it sent chills down my spine. Honestly, it was incredible. But Apurva, actually, I wrote a very pensive article recently. और मैंने उस आर्टिकल में ये लिखा है कि एक्चुअली जो हो रहा है ना, एक बड़ा रिनेसेंस हो रहा है, मुझे लगता है हिंदी सिनेमा में across all mediums, whether that's OTT or cinema. And one thing, if we look at Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, the Kerala story, Scoop recently, Banda, even Trial by Fire, all of these titles in Hindi, they're all addressing a form of suppression, oppression of unassuming people by a corrupt system, by a corrupt network. Do you think कि हम इस दौर में हैं जहां अब बॉलीवुड ना सिर्फ या हिंदी सिनेमा ना सिर्फ escapism के लिए है, बट ये जो infotainment जो genre है, ये एक और ज्यादा strength ले रही है, a big momentum ले रही है, हमारी industry में. Do you think that's what's happening now as
I
well?
think, see, with the advent of digital world and with the advent of OTTs, people are more informed. Earlier, people were not. Audience has become extremely intelligent. They will not. They will not be sitting and clapping for things that are not worth it. It's extremely. It's the two days. You cannot just throw any film at them and throw any show at them and say that you like it or you watch it, because they have been well informed, and because they are well informed, they want to see shows and films that deals with a lot of information. And if you look at our past scam or whatever, or the great shows that India has produced in recently, they are very technical shows. They are technical in nature because the audience have become well informed. And I think with the advent of OTTs, another great thing has happened, that freshers, newcomers have been given ample amount of opportunities. Young blood have been given ample amount of opportunities. So when you give more opportunities to young people, they are more contemporary, they understand modern times, they understand modern audiences in a way that most of us cannot. So that is why you see a change in the whole pattern of filmmaking or cinema these days.
And I think another observation that can be made here, because we also have recently had a film called Sia, which
Yeah.
also Manish Mundra's film, which also talks about the assault of a minor. It was a very hard watch as well, very well made film. And again, वो फिल्म और मैंने जो टाइटल्स आपको बताया अभी, वो सब औरतों के बारे में है जो uh, because of toxic men in this world, and this corrupt men. I think the word corrupt is very important. Because of them, they're suffering. So again, do you feel like also it's this time of era where we're seeing feminist stories perhaps, but told not just by women but also by men in a very sensitive and very effective way?
Yeah, correct, absolutely, and it's important that we keep telling such stories. We keep uh, making people aware about their rights, their issues. We keep singling out people who have done injustice to the society, and it's really important that we tell these stories. And I think I really don't agree that only females can tell a great female story, or males can tell a great male story. I don't agree with that. I think it's the correct intention, is the right honesty, and great teamwork that tells a great story. And not necessarily, it is not a gender medium. It is a very open medium. Anybody can tell anybody's stories, and I think that is why this medium is a great medium to make people aware about a lot of things that others cannot.
Mhm. And it's interesting because I spoke with Manoj sir actually for the film, and I referenced one of his other previous works, which was Jago in 2004, which again, it was a very larger than life in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah,
content. It was much a bit more heroic. Here, it's Aam Aadmi. He's playing the power of a common man as well. And अगर देखा जाए historically as well in Hindi cinema, जो फिल्म ज्यादा अच्छी तरह कर पाई है, वो actually जो एक common man को एक ग्लोरीफाई नहीं बट एक बढ़ावा देती है उनको, एक हिम्मत देती है उनको, that kind of gives them strength to also overcome difficulties in their life. So do you think now with films like like Banda, even last year we had like Rajkumar Rao doing some great films like Badai Do, which again talks about a common man and his strength to come out to his parents. Do you feel कि अब वो जो एक कॉमन मैन का जो एक प्रोटैगनिस्ट है, वो अब एक अलग वे में प्रेजेंट किया जा रहा है जो बहुत ज्यादा सेंसिटिव है और इमोशनल भी?
I think मैं कहीं और भी बोल रहा था that people want to see heroes who are from their mohallas. They don't want to see heroes who have six packs. They might. Everything has relevance in this medium, but what people are resonating more, if you see from the past 5 years, they're resonating more with people who are coming from their own mohallas and town, and who look like them.
Hmm.
Because common people deal with a lot of things during the day. उनके दिनचर्या में बहुत सारे संघर्ष होते हैं. They have a lot of struggles. So eventually, the only medium they can vent out their struggles of the day is cinema. If they see one common man from their own mohalla becoming a hero, they get inspired.
Hmm.
They get inspired. When they quit the theater, when they leave that cinema hall, they said, why can't I be like him?
Mm-hmm.
If he can fight for somebody, if he can get justice to a minor, why can't I do great things in life? So that is why it is extremely important these days to make films that are rooted in your culture, rooted in society, rooted in languages. It is extremely important because as I was previously saying, everybody has internet connections these days, and Indian audience is so huge. The economy of scale is so huge that if you go to three or four cities, even they have apps. So how do you connect to them? You can only connect to them if you are more rooted in your storytelling. And that's the main reason why our heroes are rooted these days.
And I think Apoorva, one thing I must say is that because I feel like you yourself you're very still connected to where you began from, as a fresh filmmaker. I can still see that आप वो जमीन से जुड़े हुए हो, और I think आपकी जो फिल्में हैं, जो contents है, वो उसको बहुत बखूबी से दर्शाती है. In fact, with Banda, what I really liked, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a film expert per se, but I think I liked the way you used the gradient as well. It was very dark. There was a sort of dark gradient that you used in the film. So, when it comes to things like this, or even perhaps, like you said, like a realistic approach that you had to the courtroom dramas, what would you say has been your very huge inspirations as a filmmaker? What has helped you to really absorb this and bring it out on screen?
I think I'm a very social person. One, secondly, what has helped me is observing people a lot. Because if you're observing people a lot, you tend to because that is what is happening around you, and that is what makes things relatable. I am not saying every film should be slice of life, but every film should have at least some characters who are relatable. Otherwise, what am I watching? Unless and until it's a superhero film. See, there are if it's a realistic film, it has to have characters that are relatable. As a filmmaker, what has inspired me, if you say, I don't know. It's a kida within me. I don't know, but I think my greatest inspiration, as if you ask me, a director who has inspired you, I think in India, Rishikesh Mukherjee Saab has inspired me immensely because, and if you look at my own career, if you look at my own shows in the beginning, I was greatly inspired by him. And if you internationally, if you feel, I think Steven Spielberg for me is the greatest filmmaker because no other filmmaker has done as much as commercial cinema as Steven Spielberg and still make the greatest film out of commercial cinema. So I think these two things have inspired me a lot. And then my own journey has been a lot of, I've seen a lot of struggles. So when you see a lot of struggles, you obviously get inspired. You get bogged down by things, but then you somehow find inspiration, and then you find inspiration from your parents that अब इतना हो गया तो अब तो आगे ही चलो, अब पीछे मुड़ के मत देखना, अब तो आर या पार वाली लड़ाई जब आपके, when you don't have choices you get inspired.
हाँ, पूर्व ऑब्वियसली बंदा जो है वो बहुत ही एक माइलस्टोन फिल्म है हम सब के लिए, एंड आई थिंक all of us as Indians, I think we're very proud of this film, and I think it's such a great brave work. But अब आगे जाके कौन से प्रोजेक्ट्स आप एक्सप्लोर करना चाहोगे? What sort of themes or concepts are you keen on exploring next on the big
I
screen?
think I don't restrict myself with that. Hmm. I might do a commercial film. I might not do a commercial film. That is something that time will tell. I am really grateful that in my journey I got something like Banda, and now I just wait for great things to happen. And even if they're not great, I will still put my head down and work as much as hard as I was working before, and see where it takes me. So very soon there'll be announcements, but as of now, I am just on a break and enjoying.
And it's interesting now because obviously commercial cinema में अब एक independent cinema का indie flavor भी आ चुका है as well. It's almost become
बड़ा
a
जरूरी है वो. It's very very important because I think जब mingling of mediums हो जाते हैं, mingling of categorization हो जाता है ना, तो बड़ी कुछ interesting चीज निकल के आती है. इंडिपेंडेंट प्लस कमर्शियल सिनेमा का अगर मिक्सचर हो जाए तो सर क्या फिल्में देखने को मिल जाएंगी, सोचिए ना आप.
हाँ बिल्कुल, नो डेफिनेटली. वेल, आपसे तो बड़ी उम्मीदें हैं हमें. आई थिंक फॉर सम वंडरफुल पीसेस ऑफ सिनेमा. आई मीन अ ह्यूज कांग्रेचुलेशंस टू यू एंड द
थैंक यू
एंटायर
सो
टीम
मच.
ऑफ Banda on ZEE5 Global. It's been such a wonderful chat to have with you. So thank you for joining me, Apoorva. It's
थैंक यू
been
अनुज. थैंक यू सो मच अनुज. थैंक्स अ लॉट.
thank you. Thank you.